Thank you very much.
Legislator Gaylor.
Thank you, Madam
And then
President.
Legislator.
So what my colleague was referring to was a letter that Dr. Sterling from School District 30 had written me back on August 21st. And for the most part, Legislator Szilagyi has read most of the letter into the record. What the legislator fails to recognize, maybe because he's not aware of, or just purposely didn't, is that there's been an exchange of letters since then regarding the same subject matter between School District 30 and myself. In fact, on September 11th, after being informed by the county attorney's office, I informed the school district that Nassau County does not have the legal authority to remedy the issue, as he suggested in his letter, without the help of New York State. Pilot agreements are constructs of New York State law, as are the standards by which Nassau County must determine adjusted base proportions. While the county legislature does indeed levy taxes on behalf of the school district, it has no discretion in the application of Section 1803 of Article 18 of the Real Property Tax Law. In other words, none of the standards that Dr. Sterling has suggested in the August 21st letter would allow Nassau County to do as he suggested. The RPTL does not give the county legislature discretion to unilaterally shift allocations to account for assessed value lost to IDA exemptions in connection with pilot programs and pilot agreements. As such, we're confined as the legislature to the formula as provided by state law. If there's a solution to be had, it requires the intervention of New York State. One possible solution is for the state to grant Nassau County the authority to adjust the proportions as Dr. Sterling had proposed. Another would be to allow Nassau County the ability to treat pilots as taxes. But neither option can be accomplished by Nassau County under existing New York State law. Those laws can and should be changed for the benefit of our residents. I've proposed legislation. We've had a home rule request that went up to the state. In fact, it lies with Legislator Szilagyi's sister, the assemblywoman from this district, to push this forward. Until she takes the next step, nothing is going to happen. Nothing that is proposed by Dr. Sterling in his previous letters is going to happen. Now, in response to my September 11th, Dr. Sterling was kind enough to write back just recently on September 15th. He acknowledges that state legislative changes are required and urges elected officials at the state level to pursue the legislative priorities which would give greater transparency from the IDAs and require full disclosure of impact of pilot agreements on the public. In addition, in an August 21st letter, Dr. Sterling informs me that the Valley Stream School District 30 Board of Education adopted its tax levy. The total amount was $19 million and change. This total includes a reduction of $1,858,000 of Valley Stream District's allowable tax levy within the parameters of New York State law. It includes the pilot estimate based on receiving all pilot payments from the Green Acres Mall. The reduction of the $1.8 million includes all excess pilot funds received by Valley Stream in June of 2017. This method is the current and only legal method in returning money to the taxpayers. So it's quite clear that this body does not have the authority, unless the state gives us this authority, either in the form of new legislation or changes that they could enact based even on another bill that Assemblyman Kern has introduced to include pilots as though they were taxes, because that wording is not in the existing state legislation. But again, both Assemblyman Kern's legislation that he introduced can't move until the majority member, which is Assemblywoman Szilagyi from the Valley Stream area, makes this a priority. Once she makes it a priority, then the minority assemblymen can sign on to the bill, and this can pass over to the Senate, where Senator Kaminsky, who represents this area, can take a more active role than he has to get this problem resolved. So we're kind of hamstrung here in Nassau County until our state officials take the proper and necessary steps. That's all I really have to say. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Now for you, Legislator Georgie Whitten.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lorna. You know, I actually appreciate what Legislator Gaylor just said, because that was sort of my question. We're dealing with something in the North Shore area regarding this. The class shares are established in this ordinance, are calculated in accordance with state law, which is basically what Legislator Gaylor said. Is that correct?
Yes,
So the county cannot mandate the allocation of pre-tax burden to like target utility companies, for instance, correct?
right, because the LIPA and OWITS is built separately.
I'm sorry,
Well, you're talking LIPA, correct?
no, that's not what I'm saying is the county can't mandate the allocation of the pre-tax burden to the utilities. We just said the
No,
state
no,
has to do
comes
that.
from the state.
All right, and the towns and the schools also cannot target utilities, is that
No,
correct?
correct,
So the only entity that can do this is the state.
correct.
Did you hear that, Don?
Yes.
Because that was one of the reasons for the PSC, saying that that was a decision they made. So thank you for putting that on the record, and thank you, Legislator Gaylor.
No question.
Okay, Minority Leader, go ahead.
Just to wrap up, I don't have any more questions for today. I think the questions have been very extensive already. I just want to say, for the record, obviously, no one here wants to see the school districts be hurt in this process. Obviously, I think based off of the debate and the discussion for the last half an hour, 45 minutes, even longer, it seems that this process and this system is flawed, and we are encouraging all parties involved to take a very aggressive approach to ensure that we're not at this spot this time next year, but we are prepared to vote for this emergency as well as for this item, because we do not want to see any of the school districts not have what they need, therefore jeopardizing and hurting taxpayers even to a greater deal in the future years.
Minority Leader. By the way, we really did not establish the emergency. We had to vote on establishing, okay? All those in favor of establishing the emergencies, please